You know what a lyric I think about a lot is?
Go.
The Drinking Bones connection to
Yeah,
Party
let's
Bones.
go!
Party
Let's
Bones
go!
connected to the Staying Out All Night Long.
Yeah.
She won't think it's funny.
And I'll wind up all alone. And the lonely bones connected to the drinking bone.
Yes.
Tracy Bird. You've seen the podcast.
I've seen the podcast.
How many episodes do you think you've watched?
Well, actually, it's funny because I was going to ask you, like, not that many, because I was going to ask you if I'm the first musician.
Is Katie the first musician?
Hopefully, yes.
It's gonna be hurtful to whoever if I say yes. I do think you are.
Okay, cute. I love that.
Breaking barriers.
I know, trailblazer.
Whoa.
It just means I'm not going to be very funny. But
Yeah. You're hedging. I'm gonna listen to your music after this.
Oh, thank you. That's Caleb's favorite joke.
Yeah. Well, tell them how I use this. It's
Anytime
really
Caleb sees me perform, he literally is like, I just checked out your music. I love it so much. Really blown away. Really blown away.
Brian's a musician, yeah, of course. But Brian's also kind of a comedian. We had Brian Robert Jones on.
Oh, okay.
Of Para 4 fame.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that is my favorite joke to do to you. I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as funny as feminine hygiene.
I knew you were going to bring up feminine hygiene.
I told you about feminine hygiene, didn't I? Yeah.
I thought about feminine hygiene today.
So feminine hygiene, for the listeners, I haven't talked about it on the podcast
Have you
yet.
not?
I don't think so.
When you left, like when you told the joke and then you walked away, Shelby was like, Caleb's really like gotten carried away with feminine hygiene. It's really like he can't stop making the feminine hygiene joke.
Feminine hygiene is going to go ahead and be that a couple weeks ago I was in Paris with my friend Allie and we were in a pharmacy and we were, it was like middle of a long day when you're out walking and it's really hot. And Rocco hasn't heard this. Chance, have you heard this? Well, Allie and I, middle of a long day, I kind of wanted to make her laugh. I was trying to get a good laugh out of Allie. And we were in the pharmacy and we walked past the feminine hygiene section. And I said, feminine hygiene? All right, I'll give it a try. Hygiene.
He still loves it.
That's
what you're
good
saying. You're
shit.
saying hi to Jean.
Yes,
Okay.
in a feminine way.
In a feminine way. You're saying hi to Jean in a feminine way.
As opposed to the meaning, I really think it's one of the funniest things anyone's ever said.
I got it.
It
Yeah, it is.
got it?
I got it.
God, it is so brutal. God, it is so hurtful.
I'm sorry.
I came to your concert in London.
Yes.
And in Amsterdam.
Yes.
Am I the person who's seen your concert the most? Do you
Yes,
think?
you are.
In the friend
Factually,
group?
I mean, unless like strangers may have seen more, but of my people, you have seen the most.
I'm pretty high up there. It's a good show.
Thank you so much.
You're doing good stuff over there.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about it?
I feel good. I'm pretty like excited to hit the road again. I'm kind of like I've got some momentum. Like I don't really remember what my life is like without the show. Like the show has become a big part of my everyday.
Yeah, because how long have you been doing it?
Since April. And yeah, so a while. I had a little break in the middle for like a month, but mostly I'm doing that show almost every day of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really crazy.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. The thing I'm most jealous of in musicians, I say this all the time, is that when you guys make an album, when you make a record, you not only get to tour it right away, which comedians also get to do, but you get to play it forever. Like you get to play the hits forever.
Get to is such a sweet way to say that. It really is. Like, and that's true. I mean, we do get to. It isn't like it's a privilege to get to.
Yeah.
And I need to remember that because I think in a few months I'll be like like my language in my mind will be I have to, and so it's beautiful. I get to.
You're
That's
like, oh
amazing.
fuck, we're playing Lone Star Lake again.
Or here we go with Lone Star again. Yeah.
Lone Star once more.
Yeah, once more.
I don't know if you've said this every time, but you've at least said it a couple times that I've seen it. You put out a record this year.
I did.
Called Tiger's Blood.
Yes.
That's so good.
Thank you.
Critically acclaimed, smash hit. People are loving it.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna like kind of sit in like a curled up way. Do you mind if I get like really cozy?
I wish you would.
Okay.
It's what the show's all about.
Okay.
The show's about you. It's whatever you want.
Okay.
But everyone's loving it. Everyone's loving the album. It's so good.
Thank you.
And you have said a couple times on tour that your favorite song, or at least one of your favorite songs from the record, is Crowbar.
Yes.
Why is that? Tell me about Crowbar.
It's a special one. It's really like, I think to me when we were making that song, like there's some things about it that aren't totally like of this moment and of this time. Like it feels a little 80s or a little 90s. Like it's really, really like fast paced, like high tempo, up tempo. And when we were in the studio, we just like kept making it faster and faster, and it kept feeling less and less like a song you'd hear right now. I don't know why. Like, it kind of reminds me of REM or something, or like self-titled Lucinda vibes, like kind of like 80s. There's something, it's giving 80s to me. I don't know why. And it's really, really fun to sing. It's in like a really like sweet spot of my range. So that's why I like it. But one cool thing about it is that it really has its people. Like, there are people who that's just their favorite song. And so like, I love to play it live, and just the Crowbar Hive like really just like starts buzzing.
Crowbar Hive pops off.
It pops off. It starts buzzing. Like, you can tell there are some people, it's not like the whole audience, but there are some people in the audience who have been waiting all night for that, which is really fun.
That is really fun.
Because it's not a single or anything. It's like its own special little vibe.
I also, as you know, we can cut absolutely any of this. So if I say something that you're not loving, don't worry, we'll cut it. But I told you in person that I thought this was so funny, but I saw a tweet about you that, do you remember when I told you this?
No.
This person said, I love Waxahachie because what the hell is she saying? And also, yes, girl.
It's so weird. Like, I feel like on this album, I've been getting a lot of feedback, or like, honestly, what it feels like happens is like you or Allison or someone close with me, like, will share something that's like being said about the record. And I'll be like, wow, I actually think that that's really true, but I never thought about it. And it's making me kind of almost like not too self-aware, but definitely more self-aware. But that's been like repeatedly people have been kind of saying like there was a Pitchfork article that came out, and the writer, this guy Andy Cush, he was like so sweet and amazing, but he said this thing in the article that was like she's giving like too much and too little information at the same time. and I actually think like, yeah, that actually tracks. I'm not really like thinking about it like that. I'm just kind of like going into like a blurry frame of mind and writing the song, and then afterward I'm like, yep. And then that's people that's that song, and people are kind of like giving me that feedback that it's sort of like I have no clue what the fuck you're talking about, and also I love it.
Well, I think what it's tapping into is that you're one of the most interesting lyricists putting out music right now. You are just a very well, you know, I'm a fan. You are also a dear friend of mine, so I love to gush about you. But your lyrics are really like. The reason I love that tweet, and I do hesitate to give this random Twitter user this information. I'm sure they're going to watch this amount of love for their little tweet. But what I relate to about it as a huge fan of your music is, like, you will say things in a way that I'm like, I don't fully know what she was talking about when she wrote that or what you were feeling, but I do really feel it. Like, you can take it pretty far on a prayer that's pale and synthetic. Did I get those words right?
You absolutely
nailed
that.
Paradox poetic. Yeah. Don't get me started. I'll do this all day. But I'm like... I couldn't put those words together, but it does just really, like, the way you sing it and the way it all fits in the melody and it just feels like I do feel like, sorry, but she's so right. But I don't know what
I don't know
what
saying. She's talking about, but it's so true.
It's so true. You know what? People more and more on the show are starting to say so true when they're being interviewed in here.
Oh my God.
It's coming about. People can't help themselves.
I remember you sent me this video of like you were at a coffee shop and a Plane song came on and you were like listening to it, just like a front facing camera, like video of you, and you're like vibing to it, and then it goes off and you just look at the camera and you go, so true. So true.
Well, what can I say? I'm a fan. Yeah, I do love the album. How has it felt touring? Like, what have been the differences between touring this and well, St. Cloud? What was did you get to tour that?
Yeah, it was a little wonky, but we did. Yeah. Well, the record came out in March of 2020, and then I didn't tour the record really until like fall of 2021.
Right.
So there was like a good solid 18 months of like no one's really doing anything like with the record. People were listening to it, and so that was great. And then when we did tour, it was like people were really excited. So in a way, it sort of like worked out well, but it was like it didn't really happen the way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah, it was a strange one.
But we did get to tour it. The show is just really different. I think this show's a little more high energy. You know, St. Cloud as a record is a little bit more, I don't know, like, I don't want to say austere, but just sort of like a little bit calmer. And this set is a little more like high energy.
It is a high energy set. It varies. Like, there's a lot of moments where I'm like, God damn, they're really rocking. When you have like the best band in the world.
Yeah, that is true.
Your band is fucking incredible.
Yeah, they really are.
bad people, but really
Horrible.
talented.
Yeah, totally.
Mean, don't like hanging out with them. Really talented on stage.
Yeah, and that's what matters. Yeah.
No, they're like the sweetest people on earth. It's crazy.
It really, honestly, it's amazing. They just throw the jersey on and just get it done. It's amazing. Yeah.
And they're a green room vibe, I think, is so telling of like what a group of people is. Comedians, musicians, whoever, but how it feels in the like dressing room after or before a show. And the vibes are so good after your shows. It's like, oh yeah, these are a bunch of really nice people who genuinely like what they do.
Yeah, it's a really specific assignment, I think, because you like live on a bus all together. I think you have to like be able to create the illusion of like none of us are here. Like we're all on our phone. We're leaving each other alone. You have to like be capable. You have to be a person that's capable of that.
Yeah.
But then also when it's time to like all hang out, you got to bring the vibes. You got to bring like the positive, good energy. And you kind of have to be able to read the room and know what time is for what, you know? And so I feel very blessed. My entire band and crew are all really good at that.
It's really hard.
It kind of is. I mean, it doesn't sound like it would be hard, but you'd be surprised.
It's mastering social situations in a work environment, especially a work environment that's all about like people. Like our job is all about perception. What people think of me, what they think of what I'm saying, how they feel about the things I'm doing on stage. That like the ability to know when it's time to just shut up is really really, I think it's like really hard.
Yeah.
And my claim to fame about this album, by the way, is that you let me listen to it a little early.
Yeah.
Because I begged and pleaded. I threatened you, I think.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, well, send it to me or else. And I texted you back. This is maybe one of my proudest accomplishments. I texted you back that My Sun, Moon, and Rising were 3 songs from the record that were the first 3 singles.
And they were in order.
And they were in order of when you were putting them out.
It's pretty amazing.
That's not bad.
I was really impressed.
That's not bad.
I was really impressed.
Pretty cool.
I was like, you could like work in music. Like you could work in A&R.
You're playing a dangerous game. Katie Crutchfield, you're playing a dangerous game right now.
Do people know that you have an amazing voice?
I don't know. You know what? Actually, someone, I don't know if it was a comment or a DM, but did you see this? Some girl who claims to be a fan of mine commented or DM'd like this past week. Sometimes against every device I have set up in my life, I will see a comment. And this person commented, she was like, Caleb, I absolutely love you. Like one of the funniest people alive. And like, as a vocalist, I just want to tell you, you absolutely cannot sing, but keep trying. It's really cute. It was so.
As a vocalist?
It was really intense.
Okay, well, as I'm a vocalist and I'm telling you, literally like sometimes we'll be in the car and you'll just be like quietly singing along and I'm like, Okay. He's a singer.
Well, you've got quite a few tour dates left, and there might be some opening slots.
Yeah.
I open for you on tour and just do your songs.
I would love that.
I do
honestly.
like Fire. I just do a really long Fire.
I think that would be great.
Could be really fun.
Get the crowd warmed up. Honestly, they'd probably love it. It would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't afford me, sweetie. You're
right.
I'm doing pretty big. Just to open as a singer, what am I charging these days? 20, 50 bucks? Something big.
Love it.
Something big.
Love it.
Wait, what was I going to ask you about? It was I was talking to you about the record and then about my prediction of the singles. Oh, well, I wanted to ask you, would you ever consider on this episode, and you don't have to do it now, you can think about it and do it later if you want, but would you ever tell the truthers, the So True truthers, my favorite story of yours from Birmingham?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you tell it now?
You know what the thing is that story has never like hit harder than it did at that dinner.
Yeah.
And I even tried to tell my band recently, and it was one of those moments where I'm like, you guys are really trying to be into this story.
But I can feel that you're
you
trying
don't
to get it up for
care.
me. Yeah.
I can feel that you like don't actually think that this story is that great. So maybe I'll just give that caveat, but I'll tell the story.
I'm
not scared. I'm not scared. Well, when I was younger, like when I was in high school, there was like a war between the punks and like the kids in like the punk music scene and the skaters.
Yeah.
And they didn't typically, as like Tara, our dear friend Tara, shout out Tara.
Shout out Tara.
We love you. This is not the last time you'll come up on this episode, I'm sure. as our friend Tara pointed out, or maybe you pointed out, like, how did you guys tell each other apart?
Yeah, because you're like, well, the skaters and the punks were always at odds, and I was like, the two groups of kids who should be looking out for one another.
And like should be, like really only in Birmingham, like with those two groups of people have found a reason. I don't know. It's so funny. Like it's giving like small city, you know. But anyways, so this one summer, the punks and the skaters were at odds. And I was, and I want to just come out and say I have really nothing against skaters at this point in my life. Like
You've gotten past
I've gotten past it. I've known plenty of like skaters that are really great, and I hold nothing against skaters. But at the time, it was really gnarly. Like it was like people were pissed and it was messy. And so anyways, there was this one summer that had already kind of been like underlying. And I think looking back, I think like the punks and like the community I was a part of, and this is going to sound like, obviously I'm like tooting my own horn, but we really had a conscience, you know, like we cared about the community.
Yeah.
We cared about like, we felt like we were like really about kind of doing the right thing and looking out for each other. And then the skaters were like really nihilistic and like, just like sort of just violent and like fucking shit up. And that was kind of their thing.
Yeah.
And so these communities were just really not vibing. So anyways, there was all kinds of things that happened. The big thing that kind of is what caused it to really heat up is there was a venue called Cave 9, which is like where I came up playing. It was like an all ages space. It was an amazing place. And across the street from Cave 9, the skate shop that I won't even name moved across the street because I actually think it still exists. So they moved across the street. And that summer, it was chaos. Like they vandalized the front of Cave 9. They would come over to our shows and like fuck shit up. And then I'm sure like we would go over there when they would have events and like fuck shit up. And it was just kind of like
you guys are loosening the wheels on their skateboard.
Yeah, exactly. It was we were going back and forth. And in my memory, as my memory serves, like they came in way hotter than we did. But
well, you guys had a conscience.
we had a conscience.
Yeah, and they were violent.
We were like good. We were trying to do good in the community.
Yeah.
That's my memory of it at least. So anyways, so this one night there was a party, like a house party, and this war had just been like heating up. And it was a house party at like, you know, some kids in the music scene's house. It was all kind of like people in the like younger music scene in Birmingham that were attending this party. Big house party. And so everyone's drinking. Lord knows, like, I'm, like, wasted. This is when I still drank. And I was probably, like, 19 years old. We're all partying at this house. And lo and behold, a large group of skaters, both ones that we recognize from town and ones that we do not, roll up to this party. And everybody's backs kind of get up, like, what are these guys doing here? And anyways, one thing leads to another, and one of the guys that we don't recognize starts kind of like groping girls in the party, me being one of them. No. And so the rumor starts to spread, like, these guys are from California. There's like some pro skater here who everyone's like trying to impress. And we're just like, who the fuck are these people? And like, why are they at our party? So this guy's groping people. Once he gropes me, you know, I get in his face and I'm just like,
you're not having that.
I'm not having it. I'm like, you got to go. And then all my like friends kind of come around me, and like the guys in the music scene, like they're kind of like, you guys got to leave, and it causes this big problem. Everyone's kind of yelling, and we all are out on the front lawn.
Building to a crescendo.
It's building to a crescendo. People are like throwing drinks, whatever. It's really chaotic. And then I say something that will haunt me and haunts me still to this day, which I drunkenly say, "This is my city." This is my city.
And
wait, I don't remember what.
This is my city, and y'all need to leave.
Oh, and y'all need to fucking leave. Yeah, y'all need to fucking leave. This is my city. Y'all need to leave. And basically, what I'm trying to communicate is, you guys are like from California. Like, you don't even live here. You don't even know, like, the blood that's been spilled in this war. Like, you guys don't even understand. Like, this is a really complicated situation that y'all walked into.
These hedonist California
exactly.
nobodies.
Y'all, this is my city.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, anytime I went in public in Birmingham and I saw one of those guys, they would go, "Oh, this is your city." And still, literally a couple years ago, they're all like into motorcycles now, and one of those guys like said that. Like, I walked in this bar with Kevin, and a guy was like, "Oh, this is her city. This is your city." I haven't lived there in 10 years. And Kevin was really like spooked. He was like, "Who's this like scary looking guy who's like yelling at you from across
Kevin
the bar?"
didn't know about your reputation.
And I was just like, whatever, ignore them. But so yeah, that's my story.
Shout out Kevin. We love you, Kevin.
We love you, Kevin.
Won't be the last time you come up on this podcast. If we didn't give Kevin the same treatment as Tara, it would have been real hell for us.
Honestly, it's a really delicate ecosystem between the four of us.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in our little friend group.
Yeah.
The friend group is you, me, Kevin, Tara, and then
we have there's side characters too.
There's
but it's not that they're like side characters in our lives, but that foursome is a foursome,
well,
and it's
things
really
have changed.
Things have changed. People have like come in and out, and people do come in and out, and they will.
Yeah.
But that foursome stays
been the
true.
glue.
Stays true forever. Yeah.
True to it, not new to it.
Yeah.
That is the group.
Do you think like out of the four, I personally think I am the least main character out of the four. What do you think about that? And then maybe you're next after that.
Main character?
Yeah. Like, and I'm not saying like you, like what you are, but sort of what you're like giving. Like I think you're comfortable kind of pulling back if you need to.
Yeah.
I'm really comfortable pulling back if I need to. I think Tara and Kevin, they push forward and soldier on as main characters always.
I think it's pretty clear that Kevin's at the top of that situation.
I think that actually, if we were going to rank, I would say Kevin's number 1, Tara's number 2, you're number 3, I'm number 4.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I like that.
I'd love to know what they think, but I think we could probably all agree.
We did this game recently about the friend group that was also for the listeners, so we're not doing so inside baseball. Our friend Tara is a brilliant, I've talked about her on the podcast before.
Let's talk about
brilliant organizer, runs the tenant union in Kansas City, which we need to talk about on this episode.
Yes, we do.
And then Kevin Morby, who is a brilliant musician that Katie and I have a very identical relationship to.
Yes.
And nothing is different about our relationships with Kevin. We all do the same stuff in public and private. And but we did this game recently where we were like, who would do the best in the friend group with silence, no phone, being in the woods.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Or who would do I think it was who would do the worst.
Yeah, we ranked again.
Yeah, and Kevin
I
and
actually think the rankings were pretty similar.
I think I replaced Tara in that.
I think
it was
that's
Kevin
accurate.
would do the worst, die immediately.
Yeah.
I would die pretty soon after him.
Yeah.
Then it was Tara, then it was you.
To be honest with you, I actually think that you and Kevin are probably tied, and me and Tara are probably tied in that.
Yeah, well, you have a real interesting relationship to like the internet and phone and attention. You've maintained like a lot of mystery about you.
Thank you.
Which is interesting. And a lot of like freedom from like the rat race, I feel.
Thank you so much.
Do you feel that?
Yeah,
well,
I try. I'm very intentional about it. It isn't like I'm just effortlessly like that. Like I actually like white knuckle have to like make myself like that in order to like make the work that I make. I've a few years ago, maybe like when I quit drinking, I kind of realized there is a direct correlation with like how online I am and like how good the work I make is. I really started kind of playing around with that when I made St. Cloud, and I've just taken it all the way to now. So yeah, it's kind of like, when I put songwriting and making records and stuff, if I really try and make that like, well, that's my biggest priority, is like making sure that I am like writing songs I love and I feel really good about it and all of that. If I make that my priority, then it's really easy for me to be like, well, being on Instagram or something like doesn't actually really matter to me that much. So anyways, and yeah, I'm very insulated from like pretty much anything anybody says about me or really about anybody that I know. So you do often have to like text me memes or like things that people are saying.
I will every once in a while get a phone call from you that's like, hey, why wasn't I let in on this thing going on in your life?
Yeah, I'm
and
really
like,
mad.
It was on Close Friends.
Yeah.
And that's where everyone else got it from.
Yeah.
And you're not watching my Close Friends.
I'm not watching your Close Friends. Oftentimes like Kevin or Tara will like let me know what's on your Close Friends. They'll keep me in the loop.
They're kind of like printing it out and laying it on your desk
exactly.
for approval.
It has to be a printout. It has to be a printout.
Yeah, you won't hear about it.
No.
And he's kind of like when they bring the Queen a box every morning of the news.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
How the Queen gets her little red box. Y'all know
I
about
get
that?
a red box, yeah.
And
every
it's
day.
just my printed out
it's your
Close Friends
printouts.
stories.
Yes, exactly.
Just me being like, think I might go to the movies. You don't want to come. I have the least scandalous Close Friends of all time.
I love that.
Other gay
I
guys,
believe that.
gay guy close friends on Instagram is usually one of two things. It's either like the most hateful, horrendous shit talking on someone that we all kind of know, like just
Really?
like brutal takedowns of like somebody we know, or it is the most raunchy, unsolicited nudes you have ever seen in your life. And sometimes it'll be
That
both.
makes me feel like I'm really missing out. I'm like really missing out.
Well, my gay guy close friends is literally just me being like, anyone want to go to Hooters? Anyone want to get chicken wings, respect the girls, and then see a movie at AMC? It's not. There's nothing interesting going on mine. You're not missing out.
You know, I kind of wish close friends didn't exist because I really sort of wish that people were like beefing more. Like I wish that people were like just saying it like it is more. Do you know what
Yeah?
I mean? Yeah. Like
want
I still
public
wouldn't
beef.
see it, but yeah, I mean, I just think public beef, like, I just wish somebody would go like all the way to like Courtney Love, you know, like just
Yeah.
like take it there. I think it would be really interesting and like exciting to have someone who's like full villain mode.
I think you're describing Azalea Banks.
I was literally, as I was saying that, I'm like, I'm describing Azalea Banks. I wish more people would do that. I just think it's kind of fun.
I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
We were sorry to pull the curtain back on the process here, truthers, but we recorded Bob the Drag Queen before this, who is amazing, by the way. I don't know if you know him.
No.
Like so funny and warm and beautiful. But I was saying, I often on this podcast will flirt with being that kind of person because we're sitting here talking into microphones. And so I'll just go full bore into talking shit on someone that I don't like because I think it's interesting. And I'm like, it's okay. They can say the same about me. We can have a,
Yeah.
I do miss like when gay people were mean, you know?
Yeah.
Gay people used to be discerning and mean and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But then I end up cutting it because I'm really what it is not that I'm scared to hurt their feelings or anything.
Sure.
I don't want to deal with it.
And I understand that. And as a person who can't even use social media because I'm like, my like sweet little process is like too delicate. I completely understand that. Like I really, believe me, I do understand it. I do think as a spectator, like it's kind of exciting because I do think everybody's like really safe. And that maybe the world is better for that. I don't know. But
You're like, as a non-participatory pot stirrer,
Yes.
I would love to see people.
The thing about you is that you're so like genuinely nice and everybody can feel that from you. Like that's so obvious that you're not like a mean person. So when you say mean things, it's just like, it's so true.
It
it's
is
like,
so true.
It's so true. And that's what's beautiful. The honesty, it makes people trust you. I think it's good.
I can be very cutting, and I definitely have a lot of negative opinions. I do think I'm kind. I think I'm a kind person. I think I'm fair. And I think when I give it to, I try to only give it to people who deserve it. That's what I think.
Honestly, Kevin often, when he's been in situations where like somebody was like rude to him or something, he often is like, I wish Caleb was here. Like Caleb would have taken that guy down. You know? Like that's come up a few times where Kevin's like, man, Caleb knows how to do that. And it's really cool.
I like to think it's a power that I use for good. But I absolutely will I do have it within me to really take someone apart.
I love that. And
But
I believe that.
But you know what? If you have it within you to take someone apart, you also have it within you to put people together.
Yeah.
And I try to do that.
And you do that.
But I will do it, the taking apart if I have to.
Yeah. And that's great.
Your sobriety has come up a couple times, and absolutely do not have to talk about it, but it's a big part of your life.
Yeah.
Are you cool talking about it?
Yeah.
What inspired sobriety? What has it meant to you? And I feel like specifically, you've probably talked about this a fair amount. So if it's boring, we can certainly move on to you. It won't be boring to me or the listeners. But how has sobriety impacted the way that you make things in like your artistic process?
It's so funny. I was like just talking about this morning. Well, what inspired sobriety was just a drinking problem.
That's so classic.
Yeah, I know. It's classic. It's classic.
I hate to tell you that's not very unique.
No,
that is
I know, and it's not. It's not. Yeah, I had a drinking problem, so that's what made me want to quit. And I actually found, and I've said this in interviews before, but when I first quit drinking, which was in 2018, which was 6 years ago, right? Yes, 6 years ago. Thank you. When I first quit drinking, I found like something I wrote in my journal when I was like 18 about how I like really needed to quit drinking when I was 18. So it was just like really powerful. And I think there was always a voice in the back of my head subconsciously of like, I don't do this how other people around me do this. Like this is like tormenting for me in a way that it isn't for everybody. And I had always clocked that, and that little voice in my head of like, I think at some point I'm gonna have to stop doing this. That stayed with me from the moment I started drinking until I quit.
Right up until, yeah.
So that was kind of my journey with that. I just sort of like, and I tried to quit a bunch of times and never fully committed to it. And then just one day I was in Spain. I was in Barcelona. I had a crazy night. I was really hungover. And I was just like, I think I actually finally am done with this. So I stopped, and it was really hard because I was on tour. And then I took a whole bunch of time off. I like called my manager, that week I quit drinking, and I basically was like, when I get home from this tour, I need to clear everything off my schedule. I had like a few shows, a few things on the docket, and I was like, I need to cancel everything, and I just need to take like the next year or so off to just like really get my head on straight. And it was like really beautiful and also really hard, and that's when I made I wrote St. Cloud in that time. And so yeah, I was such a raw nerve at the beginning, and when I made that record, like I was just kind of like a ball of anxiety, and I really struggled to write it. But then once I did write it, I felt like this actually feels like the most clear-headed thing I've ever made. And then obviously, I was sober when I made my new record, Tiger's Blood, and that record was like actually really easy. I had like an easeful time writing that compared to St. Cloud or other records. And I just think like I attribute that to having just done a lot of work on myself and like really kind of gotten to know myself better. I do kind of generally feel like a calmer person. I think it comes with age, but also with sobriety and like all the work I do around sobriety. So anyway, yeah, I think undeniably, like my opinion is that I've made my best work by far since I got sober, and I hope that keeps happening.
I think it will.
I hope so.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
And I do think it's nice to talk about it because I think there are probably a lot of sober people listening and probably a couple people who need to or want to get sober. And it'll be helpful for them. That moment in Spain that you described, a lot of my sober friends, hit rock bottom and feel like it's like I got to my worst place and was like, never again. It doesn't sound like it was it that for you?
I don't know. Honestly, like, I think my rock bottom actually happened like maybe like a year before that. And I had quit drinking. It's funny, like I'd kind of hit what I would call a real bottom at like the beginning of 2017. And then I went on tour with Kevin and we sort of fell in love, and I'd quit drinking for a bit, and I was not drinking at that time. And then we started dating, and like my life kind of kept going. And then I sort of slowly integrated drinking back into the fold. And it was interesting. Like Kevin was a really good non-judgmental mirror of like, oh, you drinking is different than you not drinking. That's just something I'm noticing. Kind of like he really never like, judged me, but he did kind of let me know that, and like, oh, that's, yeah. And the way that Kevin drinks, and the way that he drinks so much healthier than the way that I drank. Like that was interesting too. Like I went through my Saturn return, and I moved away from Philly. I was living in Philly at the time, and all these things in my life were changing. And I went from having a lot of people that drank a lot around me to kind of suddenly not. Like a lot of my friends were sober, but I wasn't. So anyways, for all those things, like it gave me a lot of reflection that I actually think the way that I'm engaging in drinking is problematic, and I might need to take a look at that.
Take a look at it.
Yes.
And then that led to being like, I should just stop.
I should just stop. Yeah. So I would say I've hit some bottoms, but I wouldn't really describe that as like a real bottom. No.
You talked about, hey, if I had $1 for every time I hit a real bottom, you know what I'm talking about?
Come
on now.
Love it.
Love it. Love it. That's our Caleb.
That's our Caleb.
No, but in all seriousness, I am gay. No, you were talking about the juxtaposition between making St. Cloud and making Tiger's Blood. And I have been lucky enough to hear you talk about this a little bit in private and also with Brad in public, Brad Cook.
Yes.
Brilliant producer who we love.
Imagine if Brad was on this podcast. It would be really good.
Brad, please come on the pod. I
would love that.
I think the world of Brad.
Yeah.
We're new friends, but I'm like literally.
He loves you.
The moment I met Brad, I was like, this is one of my people. This is my guy. This is my kind of guy.
And Caleb, he literally has said the same about you. He has. He really has.
Boy.
He loves you.
I love Brad. I think I do, and obviously I love his work. Like I have been a fan of his work before I even knew him, which is a strange thing that has been happening a lot in my life the last couple of years, yourself included. But those two, I feel like when somebody has a big record like St. Cloud was, and it gets a lot of attention and people really love it, and then you go to make another record, I feel like artists have this choice they have to make between am I going to give the people something brand new that they didn't even know I could do, or am I going to give them like a continuation of the things I've been exploring or the sound or whatever. And I feel like you and Brad explored that a little bit when you were making Tiger's Blood.
Yeah.
Of like kind of what direction you were going to go with it. Mm-hmm. Will you tell people about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like talking to you about this stuff is so different because I can like joke around and it's just, I feel a little less like I have to be like serious.
Yeah. What if you started joking around and I was like, can you be serious?
Actually, this is serious.
No, you can joke here.
I know. I can just relax.
And I hope you are.
And I am. So, Brad's like one of my very, very best friends. He's literally like family to me. We were talking about what we were going to do next, like right away. And we kind of are continuously like having these conversations. When I talk about like working with him, and I'm sure other producers and artists, collaborators feel similarly, but something that feels really real between me and Brad is that like I would say that our working relationship is like 90% just us talking. Like we're just like building a world, and I feel like we've kind of built this like shared like philosophy over the years. So we were talking about what we were going to do, and something that I think we both really wanted to like be confident to the other. So we weren't really talking about our like fear or vulnerability around following a record like St. Cloud up. We were both definitely feeling it. But we did say, I think the thing that Brad said early on was like, I want people to know it's not a fluke that we made that record. That's all our big hope was. It's like, let's at least make something that's, we feel as good about as we do about St. Cloud. So that was kind of what we were saying. And I think, obviously when St. Cloud came out, my audience grew a lot, and it was such a pivot from like what I had done previously. So obviously that's a little bit of a roll of the dice. We were kind of nervous about it. And then people really reacted well to it, which was very validating. I think that we kind of put pressure on ourselves, and I don't know why, and I've talked about this a little, but I think that we just kept using words like, it's going to be big. It's got to be huge. It's got to be epic. It's got, and I don't really know what that like meant. It was just very like ambiguous, but we were like hyping each other
just
up a lot. It's just like massive and and I think that what that actually did equate to is like pop. I think that we were kind of like, maybe we'll do like something that feels a little more mainstream or pop, which is so incorrect for us. But we couldn't help but toy with that. So we were kind of talking about that, and we started like, first we did a demo session with MJ Linderman, Jake, my dear friend.
Incredible.
He has an album coming out.
Just put a single for it. She's leaving you.
Yeah. She's leaving you. He's got Joker Lips. That's the second single. So good. But we had him in the mix, and we were just jamming. It was literally like he was playing drums, I was playing guitar. It was like really sloppy and like fun, and just kind of like, just really organic feeling. And that was so exciting. And then we demoed my song right back to it and had him sing a harmony, and everything just kind of shifted. Like the energy in the room just kind of got really focused after that. We're like, oh, this feeling that we're all feeling, we have to like chase after that. And then Jake had to leave. So then we were like, okay, well, maybe let's pull up my song 365. And we're like, let's pull that song up and let's try to program a beat to it. And like, we were sort of like saying without saying, like, let's try the pop side of it. Let's see how that feels. And it was so crazy. Like, it felt so bad. I literally like dissociated and was just like on my phone, like Googling stuff and not listening to what was happening. And Brad sent everyone home. Like, it was like maybe 2 p.m. and I like overheard him like send the engineer and one of the players home. And I was kind of like, why did Brad just send everyone home at 2 p.m.? And then we went outside in the backyard at his house, and we had this like beautiful heart to heart. We both cried, and we were both just like, scared, like, oh my God, we're about to follow this album that means so much to us up, and what are we going to do? And where we landed was like what we just did with Jake and how we were all just like jamming. That felt really good. And I think we just need to follow that. And I just don't think we need to like overcomplicate it. So we just, we put a band together of like amazing players. We went to the same studio, had the same engineer, kind of did everything the same with just a different group of people. So.
And you made an incredible record that everyone's loving.
Thank you.
That's the facts.
Thank you so much.
It has been interesting. I've seen the show now I saw the record release in Chicago. I saw opening night of your tour in Kansas City.
Yes.
I saw the show in
Here.
Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Amsterdam, London.
Yeah.
And
which one will you be coming to on this next leg?
No shit. Probably one or two, to be honest.
I honestly would love it.
I know.
You're not going to be in KC in like the next few weeks, are you?
I am going to Kansas City in a couple
St.
days.
Louis.
When do you play in St. Louis?
Like 2 weeks from now.
We spend the rest of the podcast like working out our social calendars. I'm like, hold
we can
on.
cut this,
I
yeah.
know Seattle's going to be a fun one. Yeah.
I pull out my phone. I'm like,
Yeah. Truly what we do every time we hang out.
Yeah.
Just being like, wait, okay, 3 weeks from now for 12 hours, where are you at? No, it is so good, and it's such a beautiful record. I do wonder, like, you figured out the Waxahachie project pretty, like, you'd been doing music for a while. You had lived in Alabama.
Yeah.
You had lived in New York, and Waxahachie came around the time you moved to Philly. No?
No, it started in Alabama.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
I started.
I really didn't know that.
Yeah, my first record came out in 2012, but I made that record in like 2010.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
And I probably had done a couple shows as Waxahachie in like as early as like 2009.
Wow.
But I had another band before that called P.S. Eliot with Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Allison was the drummer. And we kind of kept going until about 2011. So there was some overlap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started doing music. I played my first like proper show when I was 15. So literally 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for 20 years.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Something happened when you moved to Philly that I was in my mind, and I guess it wasn't that. But my point in all that is to say, what would you say to an artist who's like really trying to figure out their voice and like break through? And I feel like when you're starting out in whatever your art form is, it's so stressful that you're just like, there are so many things I could say and so many versions of this I could do and so many different people I could be, that like it feels, I don't know if you remember that feeling or ever had it, but it feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to a young artist who's trying to figure that out?
Yeah, I think you have to like really try and intimately get to know like what's motivating you, because I really think now it's way more even than when I was starting. Like, 20 years ago, it was 2004. Things were so different then. I think now you really try and have to like get to know why you're even doing it. Like, are you doing it because you really want to make something amazing? Are you doing it because like you want to get rich, which no shade, like that's great too. Like, are you doing it? Like, what is it that's driving you? What is it? Like, who do you want to be? And I think once you really get to know that, then you can kind of like work out like your path a little bit easier. It's always hard for me to give people advice because I think that there's so many different things that motivate so many different people. And what worked for me, my story is so like, well, shucks, I just kept doing it and now I'm doing it, and like
like a really annoying advice. Like, just kind of keep at it.
Yeah, just kind of keep at it. Like, and I also like, was really, really, really in my like local communities and scenes, like all the way through. And really early in my career, I wasn't even really trying to have a career. I didn't ever think that was possible. I just was like very excited to be with my friends, and like that's why I played shows, because I like wanted to like hang out and like be with everybody and just like play music. It was just kind of for fun. And then slowly it just kind of started happening, which is the most annoying thing to say. But.
No, the thing about advice always, I feel the same when like a young, like a first starting out, like an 18-year-old, like who's doing improv or something, that's like, how do you make a career in comedy? I'm like, I got so lucky. I have really no idea. You can work hard and be good. But
yeah. I think additionally, nothing annoys me more than like watching someone who's really successful, like aggressively give someone who isn't like advice about, well, you need to fire this person, or you need to do that, or you need to be being paid more. You need to do this. And I'm just kind of like, I think you have like a different perspective than that.
Yeah, I think that was your thing.
That was kind of your thing. And like, I don't think you need to like tell this person to make that dramatic of a change. It might not work out the same for them. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing I ever think of that feels a little applicable to anybody, at least in comedy, is like, be prepared to pivot. Like, just know, like, be prepared to pivot and like be able to do many things well, and don't rely on one talent that you have. Like, get good at business and get good at like booking your own stuff and get good at like you know, you should be able to do podcasting and stand up and writing, and like there should be probably many things you're at least a little good at.
Yeah, I do think like it's a real blessing for me that I'm a pretty decisive person. I think like being like having a really loud intuition has afforded me a lot of like the good opportunities that I've had. I think that's something I do see. I see people who are so talented, but like are really not good at thinking on their feet. And that I think that's something that is helpful, you know?
I think we share that.
We
I feel very
definitely
grateful for that. I'm like, I do see if you put 4 things in front of me, it's very easy and very quick for me to go, that's the one.
Yeah.
I do feel lucky for
And
that.
same. Yeah.
And same.
And same.
And same about me.
Yeah.
What do you want? I ask people on the show all the time. It's kind of become like a de facto. It's interesting.
What do you want?
Yeah.
Like right now or?
You know, well, it's funny. You know, it's funny because we just had Bob on and he gave maybe the most pragmatic, funny answer I've ever heard. He was like, I guess I want my next tour to sell out, and then like plug the tickets. And then he was like, and then I want like chamoy candy tonight. You know, it was like very, but I think, what do you want? I mean, the show, you know, we made So True about, Chance and I were talking about the show and kind of going like, well, I think I want to do a podcast again. I want to talk to people. And the show was kind of about what feels true and what feels, you know, originally we were going to like debunk some stuff and like get into the truth and all that kind of stuff. Cause you know, networks want to hear things like that. They want to be like right now, like, right. It's become harder than ever to tell what's really real. You know, they want to hear like in a time where it's impossible to decipher what's true, we're going to bring it to you from this gay comedian, you know? And So True has been a big part of it, and I do love it. But What Do You Want has become kind of a big part too. What does Katie Crutchfield want?
Oh my gosh. Everything I want right now is so boring. I'm just like, everything is so boring. I'm like,
I know at least one of your answers. You want a farm with like alpacas.
I do want a farm with alpacas. That is so true.
That is so true about you.
That's so true. I want a farm with alpacas. I want to be an alpaca farmer.
It's an interesting time to ask you specifically what you want, because you're in the middle of this like tornado of an experience based on this thing you made that you'll be in for still a while longer. But what do you envision after that? Are you going right back to the studio? Are you making another album? Are you taking a break?
I'd really like to take a break. Yeah, I really would like to take a break. I've been working on some new songs. And yeah, I'm trying to decide like what I'm going to do with them, because I feel like it's too, or I want to like live a bunch of life before I make another record. I think like I want to have some new experiences. I want to age a little bit. I really want to be like 40 or almost 40 when I'm like giving my next thing, you know.
Thousands of Waxahachie fans just passed away and died, by the way.
Well, and it's funny because I was saying that a lot to Brad, and the last time I said it, he kind of looked at me and was like, no more. Don't say that anymore. Because he was like, well, it's because we don't know. And because I have been factually writing a lot of songs. So we don't know. And I literally, like, I think before I made Tiger's Blood even, or maybe it was before I made St. Cloud, I was like, the next album I make will be like a solo, stripped down, just acoustic album. And then of course that didn't happen. Like I said that publicly a lot. So you never know what's gonna fucking happen. But ideally, yeah, I would take some time and really just kind of like focus on other things and just like my personal life and just kind of chill for a little bit and maybe write or maybe do other creative things. But yeah, I think ideally I'm going to go hard for another couple years and then I'm going to just like take a load off, you know?
Hey, some people might be surprised when your acting career comes around, but I will not be one of them. I know the acting career is coming.
You know what? I would if the right thing came along, and I acted in our friend Chris Good's future movie that he's working on, and I have a little tiny part, and I like for friends and with the right people around me, like I'll 100% I'll 100% give it a shot. I don't think I'm really cut out to do something serious. I think I can like be like I could be like a bigger character, which doesn't really fit with my personality, I don't think, because as we've established, I'm kind of shy.
You're a little mysterious, just a little bit. I could see it. I could see you acting. I could see you doing all kinds of things. Writing, interesting as well. It's interesting to me when musicians do Substacks, and yours is really good.
Thanks.
Yours is a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. I really want to be like I want my like fashion side to be more into it, and so I'm trying to like insert that in a little without being too heavy-handed about it. But that's kind of why I started Substack, is because I really miss like talking about showing my outfits and stuff. And like that was always kind of a thing when I was on Instagram that I felt like people liked. So I'm kind of trying to insert that into my Substack a little more. But it's fun. I just like to kind of like talk about what I'm listening to and what I'm wearing and like just like the simple things in life, really.
It's nice too. Like I think I didn't call myself an artist for like most of my life. Like I think I really started to think of myself as an artist when I was in my into my 20s. And my whole life before that did not think I was an artistic person. I couldn't draw. I didn't play instruments. I played sports and like did like student council and stuff. And I more and more have begun to think of like being good with people as an art form in its own. But I never thought of myself as artistic. And then the second that I did, it opened up everything to me. Wow. And I felt like I feel artistic about everything. I feel like, yeah, everything feels open to me. Like I feel like when you call yourself an artist and when you allow yourself to feel creative, yeah, your clothes start to feel artistic, and I say I'm wearing Realtree and jeans.
And it's art.
and it's working. No, but you start to feel like anything can be like creative expression.
Absolutely. And I mean, I really feel like what you wear is a huge creative expression. And I've said for years, like that's like a huge, like how that feeds into my songwriting and music. Like it's just like another form of like getting my creative juices flowing. It's a really big part of it for me.
Yeah. So what do you think? I don't know if I've ever asked someone this question, and you don't have to answer it if you don't like it. Theme of the show, you don't have to answer my questions. But flash forward to like all the records you will make and have made. At the end of it, what do you think you'll want people to have said Waxahachie's music was about or was like?
Oh gosh. You know, I just have always hoped people would think like she had integrity and she was good at writing songs. And that's sort of all I really care about, like that people just think it's good. And that the songs they're catchy, but the lyrics are, you know, meaningful to people. And it's kind of really that simple.
Yeah.
My heroes have kind of changed as I've, gotten older, but like one of my biggest heroes is Tom Petty. I'm like, I would love to be like Tom Petty. Like people to just like can like sing along to the songs because they're fun and they're like really catchy and they're like these big pop songs, but they're also like the lyrics are amazing. And yeah, so I think like that's someone whose career I really look up to.
What's a lyric you think about all the time?
A lyric of Tom Petty's or of anyone's?
Any lyric that you think about all the time.
You know what? A lyric I think about all the time, which I wonder if you like this song, is the first like verse of the song Valentine by Fiona Apple.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a Valentine. You sent it via pantomime. Or you didn't see my Valentine. I sent it via pantomime. Or you were watching someone else. I stared at you and cut myself. So it's just like it's so great. I actually cut that because I don't know if I got that right. But
no, it's going out live. It's going out as a clip. Yeah, well, Fiona Apple, I love. Because she wrote a song about Largo.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty cool. She wrote a song called Largo.
I love that.
Pretty cool.
I love her.
I think randomly all the time, you know, Annie DeRusso and I will text. We sometimes will just randomly send each other this lyric, like either in text or a screenshot. I think all the time. I think it's a Clay Walker song. He says, and it's not my favorite song. He's not my favorite artist. I just think of this lyric constantly. He has a song called She Won't Be Lonely Long. Do you know that song?
No.
But he has a lyric in it where he says, tonight she wants to hold a stranger, but not the one at home. Tonight she wants to hold a stranger, but not the one at home. There's something about that lyric is seared right in my. It's a great song.
And your voice is just so beautiful. You know what a lyric I think about a lot is?
Go.
The Drinking Bones connection to Hardy Bones. Hardy Bones connected to the Staying Out All Night Long.
Yeah.
She won't think it's funny.
And I'll wind up all alone. And the Lonely Bones connected to the Drinking Bone.
Yes.
Tracy Bird. The Drinking Bone. Dude, that song.
Caleb blew our minds with that song.
That song is like
You brought that song into my life.
that song went quintuple platinum in my uncle's garage. Like that song, that song is for a guy drinking alone in his Morton building. That song is I love that song.
So good.
Country music, man. Ugh, I
That's
love
something we
country
really
music.
connect on. It's like 90s country.
I did not know you liked country music. No, we really do, especially
We really
women.
do. Yeah, especially women.
You and I love women.
And we support women.
We
Yeah.
can't be stopped from loving women.
I know.
People try all the time. They say, "Quit it, you two."
I know. Can't be stopped.
Katie, what's so true to you?
I've gone back and forth about what I'm going to say because I think there's a lot of different things I could say that would like show different parts of my personality. But something that's really been weighing on me is something that's so true to me is I'm really annoyed that people keep saying Brat Summer is over.
Whoa.
It's really rude. It's really rude. There's literally like articles written about it. And in fact, I was at a festival in England and I said something about Charlie and they were like, well, you know, Brat Summer's over. And I was like, excuse me?
I haven't heard them saying this.
It's really not cool. I'm over it.
Yeah.
It's not over. I still listen to the album like every day because the thing is one of our greatest artists, one of our generation's greatest artists made her greatest album.
Yeah.
And it can't be over yet. Sorry. Like it's only been out for like 2 months.
I will
Summer's
say,
not even over.
Summer's not over, but I will say I knew that she was going to suffer this because the second it came out and the second the type of gay men attached to it who did immediately, I was like, this is going to shine bright and fast. Because
The pendulum's going to swing.
it'll come back.
And it'll come back.
But Joe Manchin did a Brat Summer tweet. You know, so
Yeah,
I'm
and I understand, like, if people are saying that that's why it's over is because Joe Manchin made a Brat tweet, like, I get that, I guess. But I'm like, we got to still celebrate the album because it's a real, like, masterpiece.
Yeah.
And that, like, I feel like that's something that's just sort of happening in our culture. Like, things just happen so fast and people, like, make masterpieces and then very quickly people are like, okay, but it's over now. And
Yeah.
I just think it's snarky and rude and not true. So,
yeah, you're not having it with people declaring the end of it.
No, I'm not. It's not over for me. It won't be. Honestly, it won't be over for me for a long time.
You
It-
have
it
been
really
bumping
won't.
that. You've been bumping that for a while.
Yeah.
You've been playing it all the time. I've heard you playing it.
I literally, when we just played, I wrote a Substack about it, but when we were just playing in London, it was really sweet. Like, I was in my dressing room and the window was open. It was just like gray and like crisp and like London-y outside. And I like popped my head out the window and I just saw this like long line of people waiting to come into my show. And so I just put my little speaker right at the window and I just blasted Brat. I was like, I'm just going to play Brat for the people that are waiting to get in.
Do you think they heard it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if they did, but they had to have because I was playing it pretty loud.
If
like,
you
right
were
out
in
the
line for
window.
Katie's London show at O2 Kentish Forum, you need to make some noise in the comments that you heard this.
Yeah,
and you
I
need to
played
know
it
that
for
it was
you.
Katie doing it just for you. That's really sweet. That show was really good.
It was really special. Yeah, that was a really fun one. I love London. It's like one of my favorite cities to play in, and we had a blast.
They were lit.
They were lit.
They were like screaming. They were screaming words to songs that like I kind of thought. I thought it was more of like an inner circle thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
totally.
they're getting some of the words that I'm like, damn, everyone here's a mega fan.
It was really cool. I agree. You know what else too? Like the politics of where people stand at shows, like it's a little bit messy. And they did it just right. Like I really think if you're going to be in the front, like if you're going to be that person, that's a big responsibility because if you're in the front, just know that I see you crystal clear and I'm looking for friends. I'm scanning to try and find my people.
Allies.
I'm looking for allies. I'm scanning. I'm looking for you. And I think a lot of people who have been in that position know, like, I'm making eye contact. We're singing the songs together. And the thing about the people in the front is, like, you have to bring the energy. You have to. Like, if you don't, then that basically reflects on, like, our performance, then makes us give a less energetic performance, and it's a cycle, and it's a whole thing.
It's reciprocated performance.
It's reciprocal. It really is. Like we're exchanging energy, but the other side of that coin is that you also can't be too much, because then if you're too much, then you distract us.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, so you have to have the perfect balance for it to be like the best show ever, which I'm very blessed. There's a lot, it's really, really good most of the time. And that show was pitch perfect. It was just like, I had all of my people in the front. They were having fun. They were giving energy. I was giving them energy. And it was so great.
It was a fun crew after the show.
So fun.
Fun
Yes.
people were there. Shad was there.
Shad was there.
Liam was
Shout out.
there.
You should have Shad and Liam on the podcast.
Shad
I'm like,
Liam. Shad and Liam, come on the pod. I did. I connected with Shad. I made a new friend that night.
I think Shad will agree with me that Brat Summer's not over.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
with you.
Thank you.
I'm
I know.
really
I feel
supportive. That was a
supported.
great So True. People are
Thank
going to
you.
love that.
Thank you.
The listeners are going to eat that up. That's a really good So True.
Thank you.
I have a segment for you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
The True False?
I'm going to be really bad at this, just so you know.
The True False. Well, you did also hedge your really great Alabama story with it maybe not getting a reception, and it was received really well in the room.
I hope so, yeah. You ever like tell a story and you're like, shit, I think this is going like a little too long. That's how I felt when I was telling the Alabama story.
That's
and
my career.
Okay.
Yeah.
no, it is not.
That's me on stage.
No,
babe.
you tell a perfectly timed story always.
It really is tough when I just did this in London. I did 2 nights in London of like a lot of new material. And I will say, both shows were great. Thank y'all for coming. But first night was so hot that I thought the material was like way farther along than it is.
Yeah.
Even though it's like pretty new material, I should know better. And then the second show was like really good. It was a really good show. I'm being genuine, but I was getting sick. To the point where I had to comment to the audience, like, I'm going to be drinking a lot of water and like I'm coughing a little bit because I'm getting sick. But I got to that point in a couple of my stories where I was like, because I tell a lot of stories up there, I got to a point in a couple where I was like, oop, you're confident because the first night went so well and you need to wrap this up.
Isn't that so? It's really like sad, but sometimes when we have like a less than perfect show, Ellie, my dear friend and bass player, she has kind of put this in my head of like, well, dang, we didn't have the best show, but that means tomorrow night's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of true. And sometimes when you have a really good show, then you're kind of hit with like, okay, but I can't have 2 great ones in a row,
Yeah.
And
There's a
sometimes you do,
sadness.
but
Well, it's like there's anytime something amazing happens to me, the feeling of elation is cut at least a little bit with sadness that I know it can't last forever.
I know. Same.
That knowledge will join me at some point.
Of course.
and then I'll be like, oh. I just want good times to last forever.
Of course.
And Kevin Morby lyric. Goodbye to good times. Never want to. Okay, 15 statements. I'm going to read to you. You have to tell me as quickly as you can if you think they're true or false.
Okay.
And if you get 10 or more correct, Katie, I'm going to give you $50 US.
Do people like give it back? Like, do they like, pay it forward or they take
Most
the
of them
50?
never get paid.
Okay.
That's the secret of the show.
Okay.
But you're different because we are going to dinner tonight, you and I. So I'm sure I'll find a way to make it up. Okay, so A is the most commonly used letter in the English language.
False.
False. It's E. The T-Rex is the largest animal to have ever lived.
False.
False. It's the blue whale. Nick Saban was born in Athens, Georgia.
Oh, fuck. True.
False. Fairmont, West Virginia.
God damn it.
Greenland is the largest island in the world.
True.
True. Cheesecake comes from Italy.
True.
False. Greece.
God damn it.
Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh uses she, her pronouns.
True.
False. He, him.
I misgendered rabbit.
Yeah, you missed.
God damn it.
Not a good look. Dr. Pepper is the oldest soft drink in America.
False.
True. Infants have more bones than adults.
False.
True.
That is creepy.
A cockroach can live for 9 days without its head.
True.
True. Samuel Beckett wrote a streetcar named Desire.
False.
False. Tennessee Williams. Swope Park in KC is more than twice the size of Central Park in NYC.
True.
True. Let's go. Kansas City, shout out. Since 1912, Olympic gold medals are actually silver with gold plating.
False.
True.
That's fucked up.
I know, the world's gotten really bad. Monster energy drinks were invented in 1989.
True.
False. 2002. The space between your eyebrows is called the glabella.
True.
True. A monkey was the first animal sent to space.
True.
False. It was fruit flies. How'd she do?
7.
Out of what?
Out of 15.
Oh, that's not so good. I knew. I was like, out of 10?
No, you did really good.
I knew that when you asked the Nick Saban question when I was wearing this shirt, I was going to get it wrong.
You knew it. You were
I knew I was
cooked.
going to get it wrong. Yeah.
You knew you were a little cooked.
Yeah.
You did pretty good. Well, wait.
Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What is your perfect day in Kansas City, where we both live?
Oh my God.
People might not know that we're kind of neighbors.
We literally live 2 minutes away from each other.
Kinda cute.
It's kind of beautiful. Like Caleb's like gone and brought in my packages and things like that.
Yeah,
You've
I
been a
have.
really good neighbor to me.
You've asked a lot of me.
I have. I actually have. He's not even kidding. And I honestly like if at any point I can return the favor.
I've done like one single favor for you.
Please let me. You let Kevin's parents in that time when they were locked
The
out.
list
Like
does go on and on. You're right.
it goes on and on.
No,
but we
it's
are
nice.
neighbors.
It's really cute.
My perfect day in Kansas City. Gosh, gee whiz. I think I would. Wake up. I'll go to Billy's Grocery.
You love Billy's
I'll go to
Grocery.
Billy's Grocery.
Leawood location or Midtown? Who knows?
Either one.
Yeah.
Honestly, depending on where I am waking up, which I know where I'm waking up and I know which location, but I'm just going to kind of stay mysterious
see.
with that one.
Yeah.
Then I would maybe go to the Nelson Atkins, walk around the Nelson Atkins, walk around like the lawn of the Nelson Atkins.
See a big shuttlecock. Why not?
Why not? See a big shuttlecock. Geez, what else? I would definitely go to Luce Park. That's my favorite park in town.
Yeah.
Love Luce.
Yeah.
Dinner at Earl's Premiere.
You love Earl's Premiere.
I love Earl's Premiere. Dinner at Earl's Premiere. Ice cream from French Custard.
Ooh.
Go to Big Mood. And
Ooh.
have like an NA Negroni. And maybe there's like a good DJ or something. And then maybe go to the Green Lady.
Ooh.
Hear some jazz.
Should we all get on a plane to Kansas City right now? God damn, that's a good day.
Yeah. That's like my basics. Yeah. There's so many. I could go on and on and on. There's so many good things to do in KC.
We had a really sweet night recently, this summer. It was hot out, so I think it was this summer, where we went to French Custard.
Oh, yeah. We went to Waldo Thai and then went to French Custard.
Yeah, me, you, Kevin, and Tara, and we sat on the bed of Kevin's truck and ate
and
French
listened to music
custard.
and I almost said drank ice cream. Ate ice cream. Yeah.
Well, it was hot.
It was hot.
We drank
yeah.
it a little bit.
I love that. Sitting in the back of Kevin's truck at French Custard eating the ice cream is really one of my happy places.
I really, truly, you know those moments when you're hanging out with your friends and you're like struck by how special it is?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because it's special regardless, but we all travel so much.
Yeah.
And I knew that we were coming up on a bunch of travel and we're all going to be apart and being together specifically in Kansas City. Like I knew I was going to see Kevin at one point and you at one point and I'll see Tara at one point. But when we're all together in Kansas City, I just was like, I vividly remember the feeling of being there with you guys that night and having that like thing that washes over you of like, oh, really try to take this in. This is special.
Every time I'm with you guys, like every time it's the four of us, I really feel that way.
Yeah.
I just had dinner with Tara like the night before I left and at the Town Company, which is a great restaurant in Kansas City. Have you been there?
Town Company? No, actually.
It's fantastic.
Which is crazy. It's like Tom's Distillery is right over there, right?
Yeah.
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 God, Kansas City.
It's so good.
What a place.
It's so good. Yeah.
Kansas City art. Well, there's that Charles Goosewell quote that I think I've shared with you about Kansas City that he says something to the effect of Charles Goosewell was like this columnist in Kansas City for a very long time, very famous Kansas City columnist who I actually didn't know. He was before my time. But I was going through a big box of like vintage books that my mom had thrifted for me for my den in my house in Kansas City. And I found this like book, this like pamphlet about Kansas City with this guy's quote in the front. And I'm probably going to butcher it to some extent, but he said something to the effect of like, it used to be when someone asked me how long I've lived in Kansas City, I would say with a bit of provincial shame all my life. But now I say it as someone who knows his luck. It's where I've laid up my rich store of friends.
Wow.
Really beautiful.
It is really beautiful. It's a special place. When I moved there, I was so jaded about like everywhere in America because I traveled so much, I had toured so much, and I was just so like, I just don't want to live anywhere, which sounds really dark, but like I was just like every city I was like, I don't know. And I was living in Philly at the time and I knew I wanted to leave. And then I visited KC with Kevin and was just so struck by like how much I loved it.
Yeah.
And I still I'm like still very much in love with Kansas City. It just hasn't wavered.
I am too. It's
Yeah.
a perfect place. No, there are many things we could change, but it has great vibes. It has great vibes. And you and I are hosting in November. You and I are hosting our third annual benefit show for the Kansas City Tenant Union. And I'm so excited about it. We're hosting it on November 23rd.
Is this the KC Tenant benefit reveal right now? Oh
well,
my God.
this will come out when we need to post it.
And that is so smart.
That is so smart, and it's also so true.
It's so true.
But Katie and I, Caleb Heron, Waxahachie, benefit show for the Tenant Union, November 23rd at the Midland Theater in Kansas City. We're going to have a bunch of our musician and comedy friends out.
It's going to be great.
And we're going to raise a bunch of money.
We're going to raise a bunch of money, and the benefit, it keeps growing, and it's just like such a fun night, and I think we're going to have a blast. And it's going to be great. We're going to raise some money for an amazing cause.
It's our third year. It's going to
our
be
third
huge.
year. Yeah.
And by the time this episode comes out with Katie, we'll have the link ready for the tickets, and we'll have an Instagram page that we'll link in the description of the episode and everything. You guys, please go follow, and if you live in Kansas City, please get tickets. We'll start to release the lineup a little while after this episode comes out, but it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Katie, is there anything you want to plug or tell the people where they can find you?
I don't know where you can find me. But like I'm out there. You know,
Waxacady on Instagram.
I have a Substack. That's like really my favorite thing to put out there. So look that up. And I'm going on tour literally in like a matter of days. The tour starts in Vancouver and it goes to the East Coast. We're going to be up and down the East Coast, and there's a bunch of shows, and some of them are sold out and some of them aren't. So
Katie will be performing in North America when this episode comes out. Go find her, and also stream Tiger's Blood wherever you listen to music.
yes,
I love you so much.
I love you too.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I don't understand why people talk so bad about you. You
I know,
are fun.
I know. I get a bad rap. I really do. I do.